Get all right, although we don't have a quorum, we'll call this meeting to order. We start with item number 1, which is introductions. So we'll go around the room first and just want to introduce your name and what agency, if you're with an agency, and then we'll go to Zoom because I think we have a few folks maybe on there as well. So I'll start. My name's Maria. I'm with Petaluma Transit.
My name is Charles. I'm from Sonoma County Transit.
My name is Kim Petty. I'm with Onward Rides. We're an ADA compliant TNC rideshare company.
I'm Angela Conti, and I'm just a general community resident.
Nice, wonderful.
I'm Dana Trey with the Sonoma County Transportation Authority, Regional Climate Protection Authority.
Steph Britt, SCTA, RCPA, Transportation Planner.
Great. And then let's move to online, starting with Sonoma County Transit.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stephen Schmidt, Sonoma County Transit.
And I'm Ross Clendon, SCTA, RCPA.
Is there anyone else? I think that looks like it.
And we have Mohammed coming in the room in just a second.
Okay.
With Santa Rosa City Bus / MV Transportation.
Awesome.
And Vice Chair.
And Vice Chair. It's okay. Mohammed just joined us. You can introduce yourself, though we've said. Yeah.
Ali from MV Transportation, the Paratransit Santa Rosa.
Awesome. Wonderful. We still don't have a quorum though, so we will just continue on and with our discussion items. So the first is for public comment. I don't think we have anybody. Right? In either place. All right. Easy peasy. So moving on to number 3, which I don't believe we can do, but approval of meeting notes. But if there's any discussion around it, I was not here, so I can't speak to it. Okay. So we'll wait till next. Perfect. This is the fastest agenda we're going. I'm just kidding. I don't think we can do number 4 either, but did you want to speak to this? This is election of officers, a discussion?
Yeah, I mean, we have election of officers every year, starting in January. We can refer it to the next meeting in March. But if anyone is interested in being the chair and vice chair, speak now, let us know. And we can also loop back in on this in March. I don't know if Maria is interested in doing it again.
I would love to give somebody else an opportunity. Oh. Have a quorum, so we can jump back. All right. Settled. Yay.
But it's a great opportunity to lead the meeting as our
Yes.
wonderful Maria has led the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity to, make some change or focus on something specific, especially if you're looking to bring certain speakers in, bring a little bit of different perspective. Right? The goal of this is to let us know as transit agencies what we can do better. And then as transit agencies, one of the main roles is saying, hey, what is it you need from us? So I think it's a wonderful opportunity. Let's jump back so we can have Colin introduce himself. Colin. Not to put you on the spot, but we're excited you're here.
Colin, Tama Disability Services and Legal Center.
So with that, we have a quorum. So do you want me to go back then?
Yeah, so confirming we do have a quorum, we can finish off this item and come back to the notes if you'd like, Chair RC, just in terms of efficiency, and then we can carry forward with the rest of the agenda.
Shall we vote on election of officers? Is this something you're ready for? Maybe any motions to run for chair or vice chair? We would love that.
Or I can nominate.
So we have been doing it for like a 1-year term, right?
right.
So there's 6 meetings in the year, and staff puts together the agenda and then make sure that the chair can review it ahead of time. Mostly meeting facilitation. And there's a chair and a vice chair, and it's just to
just take turns who facilitates largely?
So typically for this year, I've been here when I can. Mohammed's the co-chair, but I think I've led most. I would be happy to be co-chair if somebody wants to take on chair, so that I can support, although I'll be honest, Steph and the SCTA team are phenomenal about prepping. It's again, just more, and we can table it and talk about it next time too, if you want to consider it more, but happy to answer any questions about the role.
Say the hardest part is probably running the actual meeting. Staff takes care of everything else.
If people are looking for reprieve, I'll consider it, but I don't quite know what I'm signing up for. The newest member of the committee, so if I could get more details, I think it's probably where I would.
Yeah.
leave it.
Charles, do you have any interest? No. I don't want to get on your bad side. What do you
table
think?
it.
What was that?
We can table it for a month.
Yeah, maybe let's
mean,
table
let's-
it and we can decide next time we meet and think about if this is something you want to do. I'll leave my business card. Of course, you can speak to any of the SCTA representatives, really see what you're kind of getting into, but it isn't a heavy lift and it's a great opportunity to kind of be an active participant in the meeting. So definitely something to think about. All right, then we will put that on for the next meeting and we'll return to public comment. There's none. 3, approval meeting notes. So this is from our meeting. I'm sorry, I jumped back to item number 3 for November 19th. If anybody wanted to comment or approve the meeting notes. I just need a motion to approve. And it can't come from me because I was not here. So if you were here and the notes look correct, right? Can I approve? Ah,
You can move. for
Okay.
approval.
okay.
Being absent doesn't prevent you from a motion.
Okay.
or Approval. If you remember.
Okay.
Agree with them. Approve them if you
Yeah.
want, we can bring it back next month.
Okay,
I'll motion to approve.
all right, wonderful.
I'll second.
All right, Colin is a second. Thank you so much. Perfect. And then we vote. Do we vote? Yes. Aye.
Alright.
See that passing unanimously.
All right. So now see, now this is gonna look like a hard meeting. Usually it's seamless and now that looks, no, it's really easy. All right. We're gonna move to item number 5, SCT RCPA committee meeting schedule for 2025. And I'm guessing Steph, is you.
There's some flyers over there, where you can get access to our meeting schedule. You will also see the other committees for SCTA, RCPA listed in that schedule. And for our purposes, our next meeting is March 18th, regular time. The next board meeting is February 10th. So I encourage you to grab that very useful cheat sheet, and now you know what all our meetings are going to be for the year. That's all about that.
And now if I may, there was a correction on one of those meeting dates on this for the TTAC for February, the Transit Technical Advisory Committee. I had it marked it as February 12th for the meeting date, but that's Lincoln's birthday holiday that the county will be observing on the date itself. So the February Transit Technical Advisory Committee will be on the 19th of February.
I don't know if it matters. Spring break around here, the week of the 18th, I think all the schools are out.
Oh.
So might be a consideration for attendance.
Right. Any other questions or comments or notes about the schedule? Then let's move on to item 6, coordinated public transit human services transportation plan.
So you may recall that last year Drennan from MTC presented about the coordinated public transit human services transportation plan. This transportation plan is an effort to, it's more of a blueprint for planning and funding and for coordinating transportation for older adults, people with disabilities and low-income populations. it was presented to us and we had a comment period and that closed and then MTC adopted it. So this is just an update to let you know that it has been adopted and it is now out there. Now, in your agenda packet online, you can access the website and the entire plan and read it with more detail, but I can give you some highlights now. The plan contains recommendations from MTC and our partner agencies. So these include transit agencies, county transportation authorities, cities and counties, and nonprofits to better serve the plan's target populations. It also provides a lot of useful data and information to support local planning efforts, contributions to advocacy efforts, and grant applications. The plan is available on the website, as I mentioned, which is mpc.ca.gov coordinated plan. You can also find this on your agenda packet. And it's really a useful plan because you can see an update on the demographic profile of the Bay Area. It's interesting to see how that has shifted and a lot of inventory about what the current transportation resources are in the Bay Area. So it's a good resource. It also provides a summary of what the current income landscape is in the Bay Area. So where the gaps for low income are for older adults with disabilities. And it provides recommendations for everyone regarding transportation for disadvantaged communities. It's a really good resource. I really, really recommend referencing it as you work throughout the year. And it also includes projects eligible for funding under Section 5310, Enhanced Mobility for Seniors. So lots of good stuff on there. For key findings that I thought were interesting about it, the percentage of older adults in the Bay Area that are older is increasing. And those 65 and over will represent 23% of the region by 2050. So more than ever, it's important for us to continue our efforts to make transportation more accessible for the Bay Area. And then also the share of people with disabilities across the region is projected to remain relatively constant. And finally, the proportion of people in the Bay Area living in poverty has increased slightly, but is expected to increase more as the cost of living continues to increase. The racial and ethnic makeup has shifted a little bit, and there has been a 5% increase in Asian population, and right now it's 7% white and 1% Black. And nearly 1 in 10 Bay Area households have no vehicles, which I thought was very interesting. And that's a pretty significant proportion of people that need transit, so it makes our work even more important. If you have any more questions about that, feel free to reach out to me and I can refer you to the plan or to Drennan that worked very closely on this plan at MTC. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions about the plan or any information you wanted to share?
I just wanted to mention that I really liked the case studies that was in it. Those were really helpful.
Mhm.
Do you remember anything that stood out to you?
Any particular ones?
Yeah, anything that stood out?
No, because I read so many of them, but I really appreciate case studies. They create opportunities, start thinking creatively and in alternative ways. And I thought the plan was really thorough and had a lot of information. I'm just curious as to how it works as a guide, I guess, for communities. So I guess I didn't see a lot of accountability, follow through with the plan, but that's not primarily the intention of it. I think there might have been recommendations for some of that in there. But yeah, okay. I have a better idea of how to use it now. So I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good to give us context because there's a lot, at least for agencies, we can't go out and do these large surveys. So this gives us an opportunity to get a lot of input. And it's always helpful when communities or groups like this have awareness so that it's not just put on, not like, oh, we can't bring all this information to everyone. But if you get a chance to look over it, it might inform how you make recommendations to this committee. So I think it's a great use. I'll say Drennan, who put a lot of work into this, is a great resource in our community. I think I have a meeting with her tomorrow, but like she's an accessible person, I guess is what I'm saying. So if there really are questions, this is something that, you know, we've had a little bit of work on, but we know the people who do. So if you have further questions, this is your access to those. So just let us know. We'll be happy to.
And that's the regional one. So we also have our local one that we do.
In terms of surveying,
Surveying and planning.
I don't know if you guys want to touch on, there's different various levels of how they might use this plan. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think this particular plan and type of plan that focuses on, you know, with the scope of this is just done at the Bay Area regional level, not at the county level, or the individual transit operator level. So it's really meant to.
There isn't one for the local county?
No, there are
Transit
many
plan?
other plans, but
Okay.
but not, you know, essentially MTC is tasked with developing this plan for the region, and there's not really a local requirement for that. I mean, there are many other
Yeah.
you know, countywide and transit level plans out there, but this is the only coordinated human services transit. I might have mixed up two of those words. Plan that is out there.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Any other comments or questions or anything any of the agencies want to provide in terms of how this might inform decisions? Anything we want to add to the conversation?
I would note that, you know, some of the plans that are mentioned in there, like Contra Costa's, transit authorities, they have a master plan that kind of goes through, you know, everything that's in plan for them. And they're doing things like adding autonomous vehicles, and they're doing, you know, so there's layers in that one that adds some more depth. If you wanted to kind of see what it could look like at a more localized level.
Yeah, that's what I kind of noticed, and I thought it was really well done. But I didn't see a lot of information from Sonoma County compared to some of the other larger agencies. So, but I will investigate more of the local stuff that we have going on.
Yeah, it can be a little bit like I think there's a lot of layers. So for example, Petaluma will have a general plan and it's informed by a portion of this and our transportation, but it's not as unique and specific to this. But again, it really does help inform, here's what the community is in need of, but then what's our response to that, I think. And then of course, local, you know, what we're doing locally, but I mean, that gives a little bit of help in terms of that.
And I think it talked a lot about wanting to connect all the, you know, make more connections, because that's what the writers are looking for. They want more connection amongst the different transportations.
Yeah. You'll see a lot of things, you know, being new to this committee. I would say there's a lot of activity towards the transit agencies, all being kind of what they would call seamless experiences. So that's why we regionally work together, you know, with the bus operators. So in Sonoma, we meet each other way too often. No, I'm just kidding. But we do. We have a lot of, you know, because we do want this coordination. So you'll see more of this year after year, these kind of coordinated plans.
Right. I know Caltrans has a big task force going on right now. Are you guys all involved in that?
Caltrans is like a whole nother level and depends on what aspect of it is. Yeah.
There is the Caltrans the District 4 transit plan that is going on right now.
Yeah, there's something, I'm looking at my notes. I talked to somebody last week who's involved in this planning. It's SB 125 funding for, you know, looking at accessible transportation, fare and workforce development across, you know, and they're supposed to come out with recommendations to the state.
And then
funding, and then it'll all zigzag back here, I'm sure. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, where the voice is in that.
Awesome. I don't know if there's anything else, anyone want to add? And that is something though we can bring. So like if the curiosity, I just encourage you to tap into that. Like it's just let us know and we could prepare to like delve in. Maybe you want cities or county level to say like, here's our planning, here's how it informs, you know. All right. That moves us on to item 7, Transportation Network Company Wheelchair Accessible Vehicles, TNC Wave Funding Discussion. And I don't know who's presenting this. Oh, look at you go.
This is a very interesting item that required a bit of wrapping my head around. So hopefully I explain it clearly. Let me know if it's a little vague. The Transportation Network Company Access for All funding is a pot of money that is out there and available, but it's a bit complex. So regarding this, the local agency funding administrators, LAFAs, for the TNC Wave funding is a pot of money that became available. And the way it works, hold on, I should just read it so I don't paraphrase it too much, but it's a 10-cent tax on Lyft and Uber rides that becomes available to fund wheelchair accessible vehicles. It's a great pot of money, but it really varies by county how useful it is for future programs. Since Sonoma County doesn't have as many Uber and Lyft rides as, say, San Francisco, it does take it a bit of time for it to accrue money. It is currently managed by the California Public Utilities Commission, or CPUC, and the goal for this program is to make wheelchair accessible vehicles more available for people in the counties. And it launched back in 2019. Now, the issue is that since we have such few rideshare rides in the county, it accrues money rather slowly. So since 2019, that's been 6 years, we have accrued $373,000. So that money is there and available, and no one has claimed it yet. So since the program's inception, the money has been sitting there. And the challenge is that there is not sufficient money to really run a new program. It would be a little more challenging. It would be useful for an existing program just to supplement it and keep it going. So I'm just flagging this so you know that this money is out there. Now, at this moment, no local or regional agencies have applied to manage these funds, and also the PUC has not assigned a fund administrator as of yet. So the money is there and it's good to be aware of it. It has potential to be useful and to make access on wheelchair accessible vehicles more available in the county. So I do recommend reading up on it and seeing whether your agency is eligible for this funding and reaching out to the PUC to see whether you are eligible and start the application process if you want to supplement an existing program. But I am available for questions if you have any.
I have not done a deep dive into this at all. So,
Complicated.
okay, so is it only for vehicles? Do we know what it's for?
It has to be a wave accessible vehicle. So like,
I don't know if it can pay for capital. I think it
Yeah,
can
I
only pay
think
for
that's correct.
rides.
Yeah,
Just
it
the
has to
rides
actually
themselves.
provide the
So-
rides.
Okay.
Like we're a TNC,
Right.
right? I pay it, I pay this
The-
tax.
You're putting into the pot.
A lot of other. ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we pay into this. And we're not on the scale of Uber or Lyft, but if you hit certain milestones as a TNC, even the TNCs can claim some of the funding back
Okay.
to cover subsidies to provide accessible trips for relatively the same cost as a regular ride, right? So how can you make it such that those individuals who are in wheelchair can get an Uber ride for the same cost as an Uber and so on and so forth? So there's different, but in order for TNCs to claim that money back, they have to hit a bunch of milestones. So actually I spoke to the lobbyist for Uber recently and he was saying they just recently hit the milestones in like 2 counties in the whole state to be able to reclaim some of this for their own rides.
And so is that milestones that they've collected a certain amount of money like through their company?
Quite honestly, I know.
It's more complicated than that.
Well, I haven't looked into it deeply enough.
Yeah.
I should, because it's kind of what I do here. It's actually what I do here. But so I know for Uber, it was like, if they could hit X% fulfillment of wheelchair accessible trips through their app in a given county, then they were eligible to actually get a subsidy back from this funding.
But that would be for TNC specific, but then
But
for transit agencies,
for
we could pick
transit,
into this money.
I imagine what you could do is a paratransit overflow type program where you'd say, okay, MB is operating the paratransit, but we have this many rides that go unfulfilled, or we want to add some capacity for on-demand services or whatever. And then you could sub some of those that out to a local area provider
So
to support.
like a Rider's Choice program
Like
or
a rider's choice
something.
program.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do a lot of rider's choice programs. You could do something like that. But they could still be ADA compliant.
Right.
Even in the rider choice. So you don't actually have to have the rider choose to opt out of traditional paratransit as long as the providers are compliant in the program.
Interesting. I think, yeah, would love to know more. I know we at Petaluma Transit have considered doing a TNC or some kind of, Rider's Choice program. Recently, though, when I was hoping John Gaffney would be here from Golden Gate, I know Marin Access on a recent BayPAC meeting brought up the changes, I don't know, to TNC operations in terms of the
Taxi cab exemption
right.
is changing, which means that some of the workarounds where Uber and Lyft didn't have to do the FTA drug testing,
test.
drug and alcohol policy are at risk. So Uber and Lyft specifically may not be able to operate, but there are TNCs. Like we
of
do
course.
full FTA drug and alcohol. There are two other companies that I know that are TNCs that do full FTA drug and alcohol
Okay.
testing. So there are options where it's compliant. It is not always going to be quite as low price as Uber and Lyft because less subsidized by venture capital and all the other things, and you have to put your drivers through, it's the drug and alcohol and it's a full background check. So Uber and Lyft just do a 7-year checker versus in order to be compliant, you need to do a full fingerprint.
Exactly. I don't want to speak for other agencies, but I know that change might change the look of approaching a TNC, right? As having a ride hailing option or a rider's choice option. So, I'm interested in the funding. It's balancing it with the new requirements will be interesting. So, yeah, I'm curious about it. So
I have a question.
Please, Yuri, go ahead. And
Yeah,
you want to introduce yourself since you didn't have a chance to? Sorry about that.
Sure, yeah, Yuri Kozlin, transit planner for City of Santa Rosa, manage the City of Santa Rosa paratransit. So when you say rider's choice, does it have to be does it have to be, their trips have to be booked on an app, or can they just be with your existing system and just providing rides for
All of the above.
Yeah,
Any option. So we're involved in a few different rider choice programs. So like Phoenix Valley Metro in Arizona has.
Are you asking about the funding? Is that
Yes,
what you're about
yeah.
right now and what it could be used on? Right.
Yeah, well, I'm asking about the rider choice programs in general because I'm not familiar with that term. But then just in terms of the funding, does it have to be booked over an app, or can it be I think you gave an example where someone could book a ride with it would cover costs on local paratransit. Is that
I can give an example of how transit agencies have used the rider's choice and how this might be changing. So for example, in Eastern Contra Costa Transit Authority, they have a rider's choice program. So they're sticking with their ADA, their contract to hold it. Those are the people they know they're drug and alcohol tested, to your point. And then they give their riders choice or subsidies on Uber, Lyft, and a taxi company. And so in that case, they don't have to use an app. They could use the taxi company, but it does get tricky because of wheelchair accessibility, and local taxi agencies often can struggle with the demand that it puts because they're not necessarily prepared for that amount of rides. So what I'm believing is that this funding source could be used for not only a TNC, but also our own potential operation of anything that would be wheelchair accessible.
Yeah, and I've seen this there's often still a call center associated with the programs. So in Phoenix, they still have a call center, they still have a broker in the middle who's managing the rides, and then us, user, Uber and Lyft are all options in the ride choice. In these programs, if you are gonna use Uber and Lyft, if it's a paratransit eligible rider who's using Uber or Lyft, they do have to sign a ride choice waiver, waiving their rights to the FDA background checks typically. But that is what is now
Is that in question? Yeah.
because this taxi cab exemption, which was what allowed Uber and Lyft to work around the drug and alcohol testing,
Is now gone.
is
Or
now
potentially.
being questioned at the federal government level.
Okay, but these funds, can they just be used to subsidize paratransit trips?
Potential, I haven't looked at it in detail enough.
I don't know. I haven't
I'm
looked at it.
not totally sure.
Because I mean, that would be an obvious application
Right.
locally,
mean, I
or, yeah, go ahead.
I think it's supposed to, provide rides that are equivalent to a TNC ride, right? But
So same day.
yeah, that's my understanding. Now, I'm not an expert on this, but, and I think that would need to be researched more, but that's my understanding of the intent of this.
So the best way to find out more information is that you guys are finding out, or that we should contact?
I would research through the PUC's information.
Okay.
And I can also loop back and do my own research and see if we both do our homework and figure it out.
Because if we can apply it just to, our existing programs, I mean, MV does same day trips as is now. If it's not going to be on an app, but if there's funds to be used for.
There is a sentence on here. It just says the funds generated from fees support the expansion of on-demand transportation for non-folding wheelchair users who use wheelchair accessible vehicles. So you need non-folding wheelchair on demand is the one sentence on the CPUC website.
That's interesting.
So somebody who can't go via an ambulance, a non-accessible vehicle.
Because the obvious application would be if the 3 paratransit operators in the county can have some same day trips be augmented with because I'm sure we all have some capacity. It might be limited, but anyways, be an interesting simple application.
Yeah, I think it's worth diving into. So maybe we bring it back, but we all do a little more research on it in terms of how, we might
Yeah.
perceive. I know that we were thinking we might because we have a microtransit and we're considering commingling of paratransit service, which would be an obvious good match for this particular funding, because we could offer paratransit same day pretty easily through the app. So.
And I would just offer, Maria, that the more we are trying to coordinate county, city, and Petaluma, that we try to come up with a program that can be at least, even if we all can't do it, that's one thing, but at least feasible for us all to do, so that there's a, so if one agency does it and wants to try it, and the other agencies could jump in if it's working, or, so trying to have something that's coordinated through all 3 agencies, I think would be, would kind of follow the ties direction.
I think the FACT program in San Diego is funded in part by, they definitely have access for all. So I could connect you with Arun from there. He's somebody who's gotten these funds before. I believe that the definition of on demand is something like 6 hours notice. It's not. Yeah, it's not Uber. It's not 15 minutes from now. It's something pretty. It's in hours, not minutes. If I recall correctly.
And it's not enough money to actually operate the program. It's just to do a study or a test on it.
Or supplemental.
Yeah, that's a lot of supplemental rides. 300,000 would be would supplement a lot of actual trips without adding, if we didn't use it for adding infrastructure or vehicles or anything,
370,000.
Yeah, so that's what's been collected
Yeah.
since 2019. So if you kind of average out what is being collected per year, it's, I think, more like 62, or I think we came up with
Yeah,
that.
Probably
which
like 300 rides.
Yeah, so
Not
not,
sustainable.
not a
Yeah.
ton
Yeah.
to, yeah, if you were trying to run an ongoing program, it would definitely need to be a supplement.
I think definitely bring it back and also hearing from this committee on what ways or ideas that you have in mind that might be useful. Where would these, if one of us or if, the regional partner should try for it, what would we want to do with it? That's kind of the idea with this committee, right? To have your input for sure, so.
And to add to that,
And-
the application deadline for this funding year is June 1st. We just received an extension, so that helps us out a little bit. And if we can't make it by that deadline, it will probably be available next year, but I think we should try and get it done. And I will bring it back on our March meeting.
I'm sorry, I'm not in the room. Maybe I missed one of the zeros. Did you guys say that it was it was $60,000 a year?
Yeah, it's like 373,000 has accrued over 6 years, so about
Right.
60,000 a year.
So 60,000 a year just by trips. I mean, ours is $3 a trip, right? But that's 20,000 trips in the year.
Well,
What's the actual cost for it?
yeah, that would be
Yeah,
the
that's
fare.
the
not
fare. That wouldn't be the cost. of-
Okay, so you're talking cost, so $100 a trip or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can it be used for a fare-free
It-
option?
I think so. I guess actually provide the service.
It has to be the service. It can't just, okay. Well,
That would have been cool.
looks like we all have homework to do. Yay, you all have homework so that, and yes, please share any resources you have with staff so then she can disseminate it to the group. That would be wonderful. Awesome. Any other questions or comments on this particular item? All right, so then let's move on.
Sorry,
To-
can I ask one more question on that item, just as a brainstorm? If there's that limited amount of trips, we could think about it as, as vouchers. But I guess that's not the same day reservation piece, but you could have, I mean, if it's 6,000 trips, you could have, certain, whatever, we could figure out a way to give them out to existing riders, because I know we don't have 6,000 people that are using paratransit in the county. So you could give 2 or 3 rides a year or something. Anyways, just brainstorming.
Yep. All right. Let's move on to roundtable updates. This is item number 8. And these are we're going to start with paratransit operators, and then we'll move to mobility partners. I think that's the way we usually do it. So I'll let Sonoma County Transit go first.
On the paratransit side, just paratransit updates.
Whatever you want. Update us about Sonoma County Transit.
okay.
We like to hear it.
Yeah. Well, not much to update on the paratransit side. Everything is going smoothly. Our partnership with the local colleges is going great as far as providing free transportation to the students that qualify for paratransit. That's been going really well. The fare free for veterans is going very well as also. Outside of paratransit, we're making a lot of progress on our electrical vehicle charging project in the yard. So hopefully finishing that up by this summer. So just putting on the final steps now. We have a huge generator being delivered soon, and then our switchboard and PG&E hookup should be to follow that. So after that, we should be able to charge up to 38 buses overnight. And, over the next couple of years, we have 21 buses on the way. So, and they're all electric. So we definitely are looking forward to finishing that up and making our way to being a zero emission fleet and all electric. So that's exciting.
Right. Wonderful. All right. For City Bus, Mohammed or Yuri? Update?
You want to go first, Mohammed, since you're in the room?
So paratransit, like, we just got 3 buses, plus all the time when I say pre-process, everybody looking at me, oh, new, added, no, replacement. All the time is replacement. So 3 of them right on the service, that's good. We got brand new also for Oakman services, which is very exciting. It started a couple of weeks ago. So those are, yeah, good add-on to them. The numbers is still, we are struggling with the COVID numbers. We're not there to the number that before COVID, but we get it there. So I don't know what's the reason behind that. We have the same clients, with nobody move out of Santa Rosa, but still the number is the same.
What's your percentage of recovery from COVID? I didn't hear that, sorry.
It's about, you can say we almost hit in the 90s, but about the 80s right
Okay.
now. A little bit lower 80s sometimes. It depends which months we're talking about. But it's still, we're not before COVID at all. We're not even close yet. So that's the only struggle. Other than that, we're running and we'll keep running again. And if you have any questions on it, I can answer it.
Awesome.
All right, it's all yours, Ree.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Mohammed. Thank you for announcing that stuff. What else we got going on? I'm curious for the county, you know, around 1-seat rides and how that's going around 1-seat rides for paratransit. I think what we're doing about, what do we say, about 35 trips. It was 35 trips last month, I think, 35 one-way trips, right, Mohammed, for the 1-seat rides, which is a shared, the shared paratransit area with Sonoma County, if we have time at this meeting, we could have a discussion around the RTC opt-in form as part of the paratransit application. We're getting a lot of that was a new piece that was added a little while back, where paratransit eligibility was eligibility for the Clipper RTC program, and so we put an RTC opt-in form in the paratransit eligibility application. So what's end up happening is we end up having people just fill out the RTC form without really knowing what it is, even though at the top it says for fixed route, it says everything, but they just fill it out a lot of times. And so then there's ends up being a lot of back and forth, and they might not even be eligible because they're either over 65 or usually it's that they're not interested in using fixed route, but and they fill it out by accident. Similar to Charles' update about electrification, the city, we currently have 4 electric vehicles, and we have another funding for another 17 of them. We expect 6 of those to arrive later in 2025. Where is it? Yeah, I believe it's late in 2025. So that's exciting. It's good that both that the entire county is moving forward on electrification. That's great. Yeah, that's all that's coming to mind.
So what you were talking about is that the RTC application where it is. I don't know, it's kind of like a discussion would be to know if there is any input on that. We can save that for another meeting, but it's also a fairly quick discussion for input, but I don't know if now's an okay time. In case there is feedback from the community groups, it's a paperwork kind of issue, right? To what we provide paratransit applications for folks who are interested in applying for eligibility. There's, in addition, a completely different program called the Regional Transit Card, or Regional Transit, RTC. It's a discount card for those with disabilities. And now if you're a paratransit eligible client, you automatically can get that. We initially have had it in the paratransit application. And what the 3 agencies, at least in Sonoma, bus agencies are talking about is, instead of putting it with the paratransit application, waiting to put it with once they get eligibility. So it's more of is this going to create a barrier? Is this going to be more of an issue one way or the other? Obviously, those who are process the applications, have our own opinions, but they come from a space of being the person to process, not from the client. So if you want more clarity or have any input, we would actually love to hear it on the idea of how many times a person, and I'm happy to explain more.
Yeah, I would suggest bringing this back as like an agendized
Mhm,
item,
mhm.
just so that, you know, yeah.
Be prepared to
be
discuss
be
it.
Prepared to
Yeah.
discuss it.
Easy for sure. Yeah. So why don't we do that? We'll bring it back and put it on there.
Okay.
All right.
And because it is it's almost more of an administrative detail, so we might just bring it back as to inform the group of where we've put it in the process, because it's yeah.
Okay, I'll give the quick update for Petaluma Transit. We are for paratransit services. Well, actually, before I do that, Camille has joined us. We have a new employee who's been working. Camille, why don't you just introduce yourself? Go and take yourself on move.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kemi Sullivan. I also go by Mimi. So if you hear both, they're both me. I joined at the beginning of the year, so this is my third week, and I'm brand new to transit. However, I used to work with a nonprofit that assisted in managing Sonoma County Paratransit. So I've worked a little bit in that field, but I'm really coming with a banking and education background. But I'm excited to be here and learn a lot about paratransit.
So that's our most exciting news, and we will be helping actually with our grants because we don't have a staff member for that. So this will be really a wonderful benefit for Petaluma to have her on board. In terms of paratransit, we're at 70% of our return to pre-COVID numbers. So Mohammed, like you, it's the same people. We're still operating. We're not exactly sure why they're not coming back or how that's going. It is a 17% increase though from last year. So we are still moving upwards on that. Lumago is going well and strong. This is our microtransit pilot program. So far, we've completed over 5,000 rides. Our highest ridership day is 120 rides completed in a single day. Currently, our met ride availability or fulfillment is 85%, meaning if you go on the app and you request a ride, 85% of the time right now you're going to get one. For those other 15, we need more vehicles and more service. I will say though, because this is a pilot program, we are starting to look at, okay, what is the expansion? So we're going to be doing a survey. I'm definitely going to bring a lot of this information to this group to make sure we have really covered our accessibility components. We're, as I mentioned earlier, talking about commingling this microtransit with paratransit service, which has been done. So we'll bring all that information to this group, see what the feedback is, especially maybe on survey. I might ask for you guys' help with that. Let's see what else. Over 3,000 accounts have been created. And there's been over 200 people have requested service expansion. In terms of our buses, just saying this out loud, you'll see some new buses for us, but not brand new, unfortunately. We're at a, vehicle shortage. So AC Transit is donating a few buses to us. So we will have a few AC Transit vehicles, 4 of them. It goes to their board, I believe, this week, and then hopefully we'll get them in February. And so we're just going to do a quick kind of look on there, put our logo, but there will be what is perceived as AC Transit vehicles operating Petaluma Transit Service, and they won't look exactly the same. So I'm going to do my best to message out. We are still on track to receive 4 electric vehicles, new flyers to 35 to 40 foot. That has been delayed though until June due to the seating, believe it or not, manufacturer. So, and we're not the only ones. Let's see what else. In terms of paratransit or Lumago, the other thing will be presenting at a summit, the Bay Area Transit Summit, January 30th. I just sent you guys the link thinking I should have done that earlier. So if you are interested in microtransit or learning more, it's a free summit at the Ferry Building on January 30th. Petaluma Transit will be presenting on diversity in service planning, but there'll be a lot of interesting presentations, and it is free to attend and lunch is provided. So I shared the link. Hopefully we'll get that out to you all. Apologize for not getting that sooner. All right, I think that's it for my updates, and now we'll go to those in the room. Our mobility partner reports.
Yeah, are you gonna send a link for that meeting?
For the January 30th one, yes, I sent it to Steph and Drew just now, so they will not get it right in a second, but they will send it out to everyone.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay, appreciate it.
Well, as a newer member of the group, so I'm co-founder and CEO at Onward Rides. We operate nationally, but I live here in Santa Rosa. And so joined this just to be contributing to our local county opportunities. What we're doing in Sonoma is relatively small on a transit scale, but we're working a lot with AgeWell, the PACE program. And so we do a good portion of their rides because the CMS guidelines for operating in PACE programs are nearly the same as the FTA, ADA rules. Only for PACE, I have to have my drivers fully vaccinated and TB tested and things like that to make sure they're not spreading communicable diseases. So we do hundreds of TNC rides for them that span everywhere going up north to down to Marin because they cover a large service area. We also do a lot going through Sonoma County for the VA health system. So we do a large portion of rides for the San Francisco VA that take us all the way up to Humboldt, Mendo even. And that's most of the operations that are here within this county anyway.
Awesome.
Could you explain what a PACE?
Yeah, so PACE is Programs for All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly. It is a whole person care model designed for individuals with chronic conditions who are on Medi-Cal or Medicaid, as the case may be, in the state of California. And so it includes adult day services, a center where you go and get all of your health care. So you come in, you hang out at the adult day program, you get your social interaction, and you pop in to see the podiatrist, the family medicine, et cetera. They are required as part of their licensing mandate to provide transportation to and from the program daily. So PACE programs actually operate their own little transit system. If you look at, it was founded as a program in the Bay Area. So Unlock and the Center for Elders Independence, which are both in San Francisco, are two of the oldest. And I would guess we do a lot for CEI. I think that their amount of rides that CEI probably provides, it's over 10,000 rides a month just for their PACE program. So it is substantial, and they're operating in largely the East Bay. The transportation operations for those groups, but every transportation operator within those programs is treated as a healthcare worker. So just like hospital workers, they have to be vaccinated in addition to having physicals and drug tests and things.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna be having our annual Ability Expo in May, sometime mid-May. It's where we invite community members to come out and just share services about what they provide to community for the displaced folks. So Sam was trying to attend in past and been great, and we'll be announcing that a date here shortly. Sometime probably mid-May. Maybe all. And glad healing is going well.
Any other updates or? All right, great. And let's see. So that moves us to number 9, future agenda topics. It looks like we have education campaign on fares, transit integration, CTP draft project list. We've added now the TNC funding program to talk about that. We'll also be bringing back the conversation around who's going to be chair. Don't be intimidated. You can do it too. And I'm trying to think there was something else maybe.
The wave, wheelchair accessible vehicle.
The wave thing. I think that's important. And then RTC. I knew there was something else. RTC. Perfect. Lots of acronyms for everyone
Yeah.
to keep track of and add to their list of acronyms. All right, anything else that I missed or that you want to add?
No, but excited for the agenda.
I know, right? Any other business or comments before we adjourn the meeting? All right, well then with that, we're adjourned.